When one of the most famous men on the planet walked up to the front doors of a black-tie charity gala wearing a gray hoodie and jeans, the security guard standing there had exactly 3 seconds to make a decision that would change both of their lives forever. It was Saturday, October 14th, 2023, 7:47 p.m., the Ritz-Carlton Buckhead in Atlanta, Georgia. Music. The man in the hoodie was 7 feet 1 inch tall, 325 pounds, hands the size of dinner plates. He had to duck slightly under the hotel's gold-trimmed entrance canopy. He wore white Air Force Ones, size 23, that looked like small boats on his feet. The gray hoodie had LSU printed across the chest in faded purple letters. The security guard standing at the door was Marcus Webb, 27 years old, former Army sergeant, 6 years in the 82nd Airborne, honorably discharged 14 months ago after 2 tours in Afghanistan. He had seen things in Kandahar that taught him one thing above everything else. Rules exist for a reason. Follow them even when it's hard, especially when it's hard. He wore a black suit, white shirt, black tie, earpiece in his left ear, clipboard in his hand with 247 names on it. Marcus looked at the giant man in the hoodie. Then he looked at his clipboard. Then he looked back at the man. "Evening, sir," Marcus said. "This is a private event. Invitation only." The man in the hoodie smiled, not a big smile, a quiet one. "I know," he said. "Do you have an invitation?" Marcus asked. "I don't," the man said. Marcus nodded once. "I'm sorry, sir, I can't let you in without one." Behind them, a black Mercedes pulled up. A couple in formal wear stepped out. The woman wore a red gown that cost more than Marcus made in 2 months. The man wore a tuxedo. They walked past Marcus without stopping. He checked them off his list. Mr. and Mrs. Gerald Hampton, table 14. The man in the hoodie hadn't moved. He just stood there, patient, calm, like he had all the time in the world. Music. "Sir," Marcus said, more firmly now, "I'm going to have to ask you to step aside." "Marcus," the man said quietly, reading the name tag on Marcus's chest. "I understand you're doing your job, but I need to be inside." "Not without an invitation," Marcus said. "Those are the rules." The man in the hoodie looked at Marcus for a long moment. Then he looked past him through the glass doors into the hotel ballroom. Crystal chandeliers, round tables with white linens, centerpieces with white roses and gold ribbon. A stage at the far end with a microphone stand waiting under a single spotlight. "All right," the man said. He pulled his hood up, turned around, walked back toward the parking lot. Marcus watched him go. Watched him fold himself into a black Cadillac Escalade parked 3 rows back. Watched the taillights glow red in the October darkness. Then Marcus went back to checking names off his clipboard. Music. Here's what Marcus Webb didn't know. Here's what nobody standing in that gold-trimmed entrance knew. The man he had just turned away, the man in the gray LSU hoodie and white Air Force Ones, was Shaquille O'Neal, and the charity gala happening inside that ballroom, the one with 247 invited guests and $500 per plate dinners, and a silent auction projected to raise $180,000 for childhood cancer research, had been organized, funded, and paid for entirely by him. Stay with us through this entire story, because what happens next, what Shaq does from that parking lot, and the one thing Marcus discovers 3 hours later that makes him break down completely, is something you are not going to see coming. And by the time it's over, you will understand why sometimes the most powerful thing a person can do is walk away. Music. But to understand what happened next, you have to go back. You have to go back past the 4 championships and the Hall of Fame induction and the business empire and the PhD and all of it. You have to go back to Newark, New Jersey, 1984. Shaquille O'Neal was born March 6, 1972. His mother, Lucille O'Neal, raised him to understand one thing above everything else. Size means nothing if you don't stand for something. His stepfather, Sergeant Philip Harrison, taught him another lesson. How you treat people when they treat you badly, that is who you really are. Shaq was 12 years old in 1984, already 6 feet tall, already too big for his age, already getting stared at everywhere he went. He had one friend who never made him feel like a giant, Jerome Patterson. Everyone called him Rome. Rome was small for his age, 5 feet 2 inches at 12 years old, skinny, fast, The kind of kid who could disappear in a crowd. They were opposites, and they were inseparable. Music. Rome got sick in the spring of 1985. Leukemia. Acute lymphoblastic leukemia. He spent 14 months in and out of Newark Beth Israel Medical Center. Shaq visited him 47 times. He counted. He remembers every single one. Rome died on July 3, 1986, 2 days after his 14th birthday. Shaq was at the funeral. He was 14 years old and 6 feet 7 inches tall. He had to duck under the doorway of the church. People stared. They always stared. But that day, Shaq didn't care about the stares. He only cared about the woman sitting in the front row in a black dress, crying so quietly you couldn't hear it from 3 feet away. Patricia Patterson, Rome's mother. She had worked 3 jobs to pay for treatments insurance wouldn't cover. She sold her car, she borrowed money from everyone she knew, and it still wasn't enough. Not for the experimental treatments, not for the kind of care that might have saved him. Music, 68 years old now in 2023. Still living in Newark, still going to the same church, still visiting the same cemetery on July 3rd every single year. Music. Shaq never forgot her, and he never forgot Rome. Marcus Webb stood at his post for 2 more hours. 247 guests arrived. Every single one had an invitation. Every single one was checked off his list. At 9:52 p.m., his supervisor, a woman named Diane Foster, came out through the glass doors. "Marcus," she said. Her face was pale. "I need you to come with me." "I'm on door duty until midnight," Marcus said. "Not anymore," Diane said. "Please, just come." Marcus followed her through the ballroom, past the tables, past the silent auction tables lined with signed jerseys and wine baskets and vacation packages, past the stage where someone was giving a speech he couldn't quite hear, down a side hallway, to a service door, through it, into a small office with fluorescent lights and a desk covered in paperwork. Music. A man was sitting in the office, the man in the gray hoodie, the man Marcus had turned away at 7:47 p.m. The hood was down now, and Marcus Webb, former Army sergeant, 6 years in the 82nd Airborne, 2 tours in Afghanistan, felt his stomach drop straight through the floor. He knew that face. Everyone knew that face. "Marcus," Shaquille O'Neal said quietly. "Have a seat." Marcus sat. His legs didn't give him a choice. Diane left. The door closed. It was just the 2 of them in that small office with the fluorescent lights humming overhead. "You did the right thing out there," Shaq said. "Following the rules, not letting me in. That's exactly what you're supposed to do." Marcus couldn't speak. Music. "I didn't have an invitation," Shaq continued. "I didn't have the right clothes. You had a job. You did it. No exceptions. That's discipline. That's integrity." Marcus found his voice. "Sir, Let me finish," Shaq said, not unkindly, just firm. "I need to tell you something." He leaned forward, his elbows on his knees, his massive hands folded together. "This gala tonight," Shaq said. "It's for childhood cancer research. It's in memory of my friend Jerome Patterson. He died when we were 14. I've been doing this event for 7 years, different city every year. I don't put my name on it. I don't want the attention. I just want the money to go where it needs to go." He paused. "I came in the side entrance 2 hours ago," Shaq said. "Through the kitchen. Nobody saw me. I've been back here the whole time. I wanted to see if security was actually doing their job, if people were following protocol, if my money was being spent on professionals who take this seriously." He looked at Marcus. "Music." "You passed," Shaq said, with flying colors. Marcus's throat was tight. "I'm sorry, Don't apologize for doing your job right," Shaq said. "Ever." Then Shaq reached into his hoodie pocket. He pulled out a business card, set it on the desk between them. "I run a security firm," Shaq said. "High-level stuff. Celebrities, executives, private events. I need people who follow rules even when it's uncomfortable. People who don't bend just because someone's big or famous or acts like they belong somewhere." He slid the card across the desk. "There's a job waiting for you if you want it," Shaq said. "Starting salary is $85,000. Benefits, travel. You'll be working directly with my team." Marcus stared at the card. "Music." "Why?" Marcus whispered. Because the best people are the ones who do the right thing when nobody's watching, Shaq said. And tonight, you did. But wait. Here's where this story gets even bigger. 3 days later, on Tuesday, October 17, 2023, Marcus Webb showed up for his first day at Shaq's security firm in Los Angeles. He met the team, he signed the paperwork, and at the end of the day, Shaq asked him to stay for a minute. They sat in Shaq's office, 8th floor, view of downtown LA, spreading out in every direction. I need to tell you something else, Shaq said. Something I didn't tell you Saturday night. He opened a file on his desk, slid it across to Marcus. Marcus opened it. Inside was a photograph, a newspaper clipping, a medical record. Music. The photograph showed a young boy, maybe 9 years old, bald, hospital gown, sitting in a bed, smiling. The newspaper clipping was from the Newark Star-Ledger, June 2001. The headline read, "Local boy beats leukemia after experimental treatment." The medical record listed the patient's name. Marcus Webb, age 9. Diagnosis, acute lymphoblastic leukemia. Treatment facility, Newark Beth Israel Medical Center. Treatment duration, 16 months. The same hospital where Rome had been, the same floors, the same nurses. Treatment funded by anonymous donor. Total cost, $287,000. Every single cent paid in full. Marcus's mother had been told they'd have to stop treatment, that she'd used up everything, that there was nothing left to try. And then a phone call came, a woman's voice saying everything was taken care of. Don't worry about the money anymore, just focus on your son. Marcus looked up. His hands were shaking. Music. You were 9, Shaq said quietly. Your mom was a single parent, working 2 jobs. No insurance that covered experimental treatment. The hospital reached out to a foundation I'd just started. The Jerome Patterson Foundation. We paid for everything, every cent. Marcus couldn't breathe. Your mom never knew who paid, Shaq said. We don't tell families, we just help. Marcus put his head down on the desk. His shoulders shook. He didn't make a sound. Music. Shaq stood up, walked around the desk, put one enormous hand on Marcus's back. You survived because somebody helped you when you were 9, Shaq said. Now you're going to help me make sure other kids get the same chance. Marcus lifted his head. His face was wet. How many? He asked. How many kids? Since 2001, Shaq said. 816 kids, full treatment, every one of them. The Jerome Patterson Foundation, as of October 2023, has funded cancer treatment for 816 children across 12 states. Total funds disbursed, $47.3 million, all of it anonymous, all of it quiet. Marcus Webb still works for Shaq's security firm. He's the director of operations now, and every July 3rd, he drives to Newark with Shaq. They visit Rome's grave together. They bring flowers, white roses, Rome's favorite. Patricia Patterson, Rome's mother, is 68 years old. She still doesn't know that Shaq funds the foundation. She just knows that every year on her son's birthday, she gets a letter in the mail. No return address, just one sentence. Rome would be proud of who you raised him to be. Outside the Ritz-Carlton Buckhead in Atlanta, the October night is cool and clear. The Gala raised $180,000 that night. Every cent went to childhood cancer research. And nobody inside that ballroom ever knew that the man in the gray hoodie, the man turned away at the door, was the reason any of them were there at all. That is the story of the night Shaquille O'Neal got kicked out of his own charity gala and chose grace instead of anger, discipline instead of pride, and forever instead of right now. Before you go, drop a comment right now and tell us where you are watching from. We read every single one and we love knowing where this story has traveled. If this moved you, hit that like button. It helps this story reach someone who needs it today. And if you believe the world needs more quiet kindness, subscribe and bring someone with you. Share this video with one person, just one, because that's exactly how this kind of thing travels. One person, one moment, one choice at a time. Now click the video on your screen, because what comes next is just as powerful. We'll see you there.